I never thought a simple night on the couch could change the way I saw myself or the way I saw him. It wasn't supposed to happen. In fact, it started so casually, so ordinary, that even now I struggle to pinpoint the exact moment when it crossed into something deeper. The house was quiet that evening. Everyone else was gone, and it was just the two of us. I remember curling up on the couch, a blanket draped over me, the soft glow of the television flickering across the room. He joined me, sitting closer than usual, though I told myself it was nothing. Just comfort, just warmth. But there was something in the way he looked at me that night. Not the usual glance, not the casual familiarity I was used to. It was heavier, searching, as though he could see through me. And for reasons I can't fully explain, I didn't move away. I should have. God knows I should have. But instead, I stayed, my heart beating faster, waiting for something I wasn't even sure I wanted. And then it began. At first, we just sat there in silence. The kind of silence that isn't empty but charged, like the air right before a storm. My hands clutched the edge of the blanket, but my body refused to move. He shifted closer. Not much, just enough for his shoulder to brush against mine. The contact was so small, but it sent a shiver straight through me. I turned my head slightly and our eyes met. That's when I knew. This wasn't casual anymore. I tried to laugh it off, to make some harmless comment about the show we weren't even watching. But the words caught in my throat when I realized how close he really was. His breath, warm against my cheek. His hand, inching across the cushion like it had a mind of its own. I should have pulled back. I told myself to stand, to break the moment before it swallowed us whole. But my body, it betrayed me. My fingers loosened their grip on the blanket. My breathing quickened. And when his hand finally found mine, I didn't pull away. That single touch was enough to undo me. Years of restraint, of silence, of loneliness, all of it cracked open in that instant. The couch, the room, the world, it all seemed to fade, leaving only him and the dangerous truth rising between us. The moment his fingers intertwined with mine, the air grew heavy, almost suffocating. I could hear nothing but the pounding of my own heart, as if it were warning me, stop now before it's too late. But I didn't stop. I turned my head, and before I could think, his lips brushed against mine. It wasn't forceful, not rushed. It was hesitant, almost as though he was giving me one last chance to pull away. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned in. The kiss was soft at first, trembling with the weight of everything unspoken between us. Then, slowly it deepened, pulling me into a place I'd sworn I'd never go. Every part of me screamed of guilt, but another part, one I'd buried for far too long, felt alive again. My hand slid up his arm, steadying myself against the wave of emotions crashing through me. His other hand moved to my cheek, holding me as though I were something fragile, something he didn't want to break. And in that moment, on that couch, I let myself forget who we were supposed to be. I let myself fall into him, into the warmth and danger of it all. It wasn't just a kiss anymore. It was a doorway, and once I stepped through, I knew there was no going back. His lips pressed harder against mine, and suddenly the hesitation was gone. What started as a cautious kiss grew bolder, hungrier, as though the dam inside us had finally broken. I could feel his heartbeat racing in rhythm with mine, our breaths tangled in the stillness of the room. His hand slipped from my cheek to the back of my neck, drawing me closer until I could no longer tell where I ended and he began. The blanket slid off my lap and pooled onto the floor. I didn't even notice. I was too lost in the rush of it all, too lost in him. Every thought of right and wrong dissolved, replaced by a reckless need I hadn't felt in years. His touch wasn't just physical. It ignited something deep inside me, something I thought had died a long time ago. I whispered, almost to myself, we shouldn't be doing this. But he only leaned in, his voice low, steady and certain. Then why does it feel like we need to? And in that moment, I gave in. The couch became the place where everything I believed about myself crumbled, and yet it also became the place where, for the first time in so long, I felt alive. The moment I stopped resisting, something inside me snapped, like a lock I'd been guarding for years had finally broken open. His hands moved with certainty, tracing the lines of my body as though he'd been holding back just as long as I had. The couch creaked softly beneath us, but neither of us cared. The outside world had disappeared. There was only this moment, this flood of forbidden desire that drowned every thought of consequence. My breathing came in shallow gasps, tangled with his. Every kiss grew deeper, more desperate, each one sealing the truth we both knew. We had crossed a line that could never be erased. I tried to whisper his name, to remind myself of who he was, who I was supposed to be. But the words dissolved into a moan I couldn't hold back. Shame and pleasure mixed inside me until I couldn't tell the difference anymore. He pulled me closer, his voice husky against my ear. "I've wanted this for so long." Those words should have shattered me. Instead, they anchored me deeper in the madness. I clung to him as though he were the only thing keeping me from falling apart. And as his body pressed against mine, I realized there was no turning back. Not now. Not ever. The intensity built until it consumed us both. The couch that once held our laughter and comfort was now witness to the most forbidden act of our lives. Every sound, every movement felt magnified in the silence of the house, like the world itself was holding its breath with us. I clutched him desperately, torn between the shame rising in my chest and the undeniable hunger that kept pulling me deeper. Each touch blurred the line between what I knew was wrong and what I couldn't resist anymore. When it finally happened, it was overwhelming. A rush that left me trembling, gasping, clinging to him as though I'd been starved for years and only now remembered what it meant to feel alive. His whispered words against my skin, his hands grounding me, it was everything and nothing all at once. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it ended. The room grew quiet again, except now the silence felt heavier, suffocating. We sat there, breathless, our bodies still tangled, yet the weight of what we'd done pressed down harder than anything else. I pulled back, searching his eyes, looking for regret, for some sign that he understood how far we had fallen. But all I saw was calmness, like he had found exactly what he wanted. For me, though, the realization hit like a storm. I had given in to the one thing I swore I never would. And no matter how much I tried to catch my breath, I knew this night would haunt me forever. The hours that followed felt endless. The house was quiet again, but it wasn't the same silence as before. It was thick, suffocating, like the walls themselves knew what we had done. I sat there on the couch, the blanket now carelessly thrown across the floor, my body still trembling from what had just happened. He looked at me once more, his expression unreadable, then stood and walked away without a word. His footsteps faded down the hall, leaving me alone in the wreckage of my choices. I pressed my palms to my face, my skin still warm from his touch, but my heart heavy with the weight of guilt. What had I done? I wanted to believe it was just a moment of weakness, something I could bury and forget. But deep down I knew there was no going back. The couch that had always been a place of safety, where I'd spent years comforting him, laughing, watching movies, was now tainted. It held a memory I could never erase. And every time I walked past it after that night, I felt it. The shame, the secret, the silence that stretched between us, unspoken but deafening. He never mentioned it again, and neither did I. But his eyes, they carried the memory. And mine carried the guilt. In the end, I realized it wasn't just about what happened on that couch. It was about everything I lost in that moment. The trust, the innocence, the bond that once held us together. And the cruelest part of it all, even in the depth of my regret, a part of me still longed for it. That is the truth I carry, hidden beneath the surface of an ordinary life. A truth that began on the couch and turned into everything I both needed and feared.